19 people. This is a story that is on page 10, and I just want to take you through that or read something from that particular story so that you get to know exactly what happened. Now, 2 pilots survived the crash and spoke to officials from the cockpit, but reports say they may have died since. Now, Tanzanian passenger plane crashed in Victoria as it attempted to land in the lakeside town of Bukoba, killing at least 19 people. Now, 26 of the 43 on board the Precision, it had 26 people, or rather 26 of the 43 people on board the Precision air flight were rescued and taken to hospital. Now, the 2 pilots survived the crash and spoke to local officials from the cockpit, but reports indicate that they may have died since. Now, rescue workers and local fishermen are trying to rescue others still trapped. All right. Now, that is the number. 26 is the number of passengers rescued and taken to hospital after the crash. There were 43 people on board the Precision air flight. Now, we're talking about 19 people that have already succumbed to death. And yeah, such a sad story there. That is a story that is on page 10 of the Standard newspaper. All right. That's also something else making headlines as we head to COP27 is the climate change and matters drought in the country and what is happening. That is a story that you can get on page 8, 12, 13, and 14 of the Standard, where we are covering matters to do with drought and climate change as we head to COP27 here in Egypt to just take a look and discuss on the ways forward when it comes to dealing with matters climate change as far as Africa is concerned. Now, there's so many stories in this particular newspaper. We're not going to get into all of them. You can grab a copy rather of the Standard newspaper and get to read some of them that we've totally highlighted here on the program. All right, it's time to take a look at the Daily Nation and what they are giving priority this morning. Now, the Daily Nation says the top story here is counties paid 35 billion to ghost workers. This is a story that is making headline. Let me just take you through it. Now, several audits reveal shocking details of theft in counties. Now, with more than 35 billion looted by rogue officials who paid monthly salaries to thousands of fake staff for years, despite a 2014 biometric audit weeding out over 12,000 ghost workers who stole the money. And will they? The question that they are asking is who stole the money and will they get it? Now, salary over 5 years. Now that we're talking about Vihiga County was about 130,770,960, that is Kenya shillings. It had 426 ghost workers. The governor of that particular county is Wilbur Otichelo. Now, in Mombasa County, 3 billion shillings was lost. Now, 1,000 ghost workers. Who was the governor? Hassan Joho. When we look at Migori, it had 314 ghost workers. Now, the money that was lost in that particular county is 614,738,580. This is a story that is making headlines on the Daily Nation. We are talking also when we take a look at Nandi County and exactly what's happened there. Well, 12 billion was lost in Nandi County. The number of ghost workers was 300. The governor was Cleophas Langat, or rather Lagat. Nairobi, when Evans Kidero was the governor at that particular time, it is 2,260 ghost workers. How much was lost? Talking about 6 billion. Nyamira County, 736 ghost workers. Was the governor, John Nyagarama. And how much was lost? 13.9 billion. In totality, 35 billion was paid to ghost workers. Now, we just saw recently when governors were taking power that Kisii County Governor, that is Simba Arati, trying to understand exactly how the county was operating in terms of having drivers who were more than the vehicles that were being driven in that particular county. You're talking about close to 480 vehicles, and yet the number of drivers hits about 400. So when he was trying to weed those particular people who are ghost workers in that particular county, he said every person that has a vehicle should stand next to the vehicle that they actually drive, so that we get to understand who doesn't have a vehicle and who is a ghost worker in this particular county. Because it seems to be something that has been happening in the counties where people are employed or being paid for work they are not doing. Now, ghost workers that go to close to 2,000 people in the county continues to pay them on every month, and there's no work that they do, or counties do not have an idea of who they are or how they got employed. This is a story that has been given priority on the Daily Nation, and it is on page 6 and 7. Let me just take you through an excerpt of that before we wind up on the newspaper review. Now, a weary taxpayer complain about poor service in counties' hospitals without drugs and patients sharing beds are pet peeves. Now, audit reports show that more than 35 billion has been looted over the years through ghost workers as the theft continues. Now, the internal audit and payroll audits have become a routine undertaking by every new county administration that usually reveals how billions of shillings are being looted through non-existent staff. That is a story that is on page 6 of the Daily Nation. You can take a look at that and try to read it yourself just to get an understanding of exactly how things did happen at the counties. Now, also something that has been given priority here, and we've touched on that on the Standard, is the secrets of the SGR contract. Now, Murkomen spills the beans after he made the contract public. That is also a story that you can get on the Daily Nation. It is on page 4. All right. Now, another story that we actually highlighted that is on the Daily Nation. It is Kenya rules New York Marathon as Sharon Lokedi and Evans Chebet win women and men's races respectively. That is also a story that has been given priority here on the Daily Nation. All right. Now, we are done as far as the newspaper review is concerned. Thank you so much for taking time and listening to us just try to break it down for you. We will be heading to the next segment, which is looking at what is trending online. Continue engaging us on our socials at Amwai brand on Twitter at Lookuptv. The hashtag to use is The Morning Drift. All right, thank you once again for staying with us here on the program. Let's take a look at what is trending online. Michael Joseph is trending. Ask me why. Well, this is the thing. You see, Kenya, I almost said Kenya Kwanza, but KQ pilots are on strike, and they are blaming the management of the Kenya Airways for the strike itself, because they say we gave them a notice on the 19th of October to actually get to listen to us and have us resolve our issues, but they did not do that, now forcing us to go on this particular strike. But the strike is being argued. They are arguing that this particular strike is actually against the law because there is a court order terming their strike as illegal and they should not go on this particular strike. But the pilots went ahead and went on strike. That was on Saturday, and paralyzing operations at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and other airports where KQ planes do operate. What did it cost the company? Now, over 10,000 people on that particular day got affected. They couldn't travel to their different destinations. People who are going for leisure and also business could not travel to different destinations in regards to that because the pilots had gone on strike, paralyzing transport. Yeah, that is air transport. And CS Kipchumba Murkomen said we had tried to have conversations with these particular pilots and their union, and just to try and reach an agreement in exactly what to do. But it was futile, and they termed the strike as illegal. They're going against the law and also the court order. He was calling on them to actually respect the court order. But this is the thing, the pilots are demanding a restructuring of what is in terms of leadership and management at the KQ, and also calling on them to actually have the NSSF and NHIF contributions actually done properly. And also they're calling to be listened to. They're calling on the KQ management to actually listen to them, because they say they've been dismissed so many times, and they did not disclose the issue with the management per se, but they say they have an issue with the management and they like that issue changed, so rather addressed quickly. Now that is the issue. That is why Michael Joseph is trending, because he is part of management of the Kenya Airways, that is the Kenya Airways. And somebody was arguing, one politician arguing that we need to have so many pilots trained so that we do not have a small group of pilots who get to hold the country at ransom, because she said, and I'm talking about Gladys Boschele, who is the National Assembly Speaker, she says that if we had many pilots who were trained, then we could actually replace these that have gone on strike. But begs the question, do we address the issues of the pilots or just seek to replace them? Because if they have an issue that it needs to be addressed, and if people can only have their voices heard by picketing and going on strike, then so be it, right? That's what I believe. Because if we say, let's have a talk and you don't listen to me, what do you leave me with? I need to go on strike so that you understand, by the way, I'm in business. Now, that is what is happening in regards to KQ. Now, according to a report by the CEO, he says that 10,000 people were affected on that particular day, and on each day that the strike continues, it is 300 million shillings that is being lost. And people were raising questions and asking, if at all 300 million is being lost on a daily, then why do we always have to bail KQ out? Because you are making profit, you are making losses right now of 300 million, but when you are in operation, you don't seem to be making any profit. And those are some of the questions that are being raised right now. And also we saw the Kenya Airports Authority, actually, and the union that has the Kenya Airports Authority workers actually calling on them also to join the pilots when it comes to matter strike. We're talking about everybody that works in the aviation industry and who is unionized, or rather under the Kenya Airports Workers Union. That is CAU. CAU was calling on them to actually go on strike and join the pilots because they believe their grievances and the CBA acts have not actually been implemented. Now, that totally gets to paralyze operations at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, let me just take some of the comments here. Michael Joseph accuses employees of sabotaging the airline when there are evidence of corruption and massive mismanagement under his reign. That is a question, concern that somebody is actually, raising in regards to this particular strike. Nyanda Western free from hunger because Baba Raila Odinga is respected there. Gatundu is in hunger. Kenya must recognize him for problems like Precision Aircraft, like Victoria, silent of Michael Joseph as Kenya Airways pilot strike, and something like that. It's not related to this. All right, and let's just take a look at something. The cause of metastasis cancer in KQ is not Michael Joseph, but I'm not going to read that because he's talking about the former CEO of, the KQ. Now, this time around, we are all asking for the removal of Michael Joseph in office because he has really led to the decline of our Kenyan pride. A lot of people got affected. That is on Saturday, and also yesterday, that is on Sunday, as the strike continues. And I'd just like to take something from Kalpa and see exactly what they're saying and some of, development in regards to this particular issue. Let me just take this particular tweet here on the, yes. Kenya Airways is losing less money with pilots on strike than when it is operational. The strike may just be profitable. That is also something that I was just reading a little bit earlier in regards to that. Let me just take this statement and read it to you and what exactly they said. We are amicable towards the remain. This is CALPAM, that is the Kenya Airline Pilots Association. We are amicable towards and remain committed to any genuine efforts aimed at resolving the current stalemate. And first and foremost, Kenya Airline Pilots Association takes the opportunity to apologize to passengers who have been affected by the situation we find ourselves in. It is very unfortunate that the leadership shortcomings at Kenya Airways demonstrated by the hardline stance adopted by the management on issues raised has led to thousands of passengers having the travel plans inconvenienced. Now, long before our members resorted to this industrial action, we have been seeking audience with the KQ management to ensure that we do not get here. However, our members' issues have never been addressed, and we are left with no other option than to withdraw our labor to bring the management to the table for a sober discussion. We again reiterate that management has made no meaningful effort to have a discussion on matters since CALPA issued the industrial action notice. The only meeting held so far have been under the auspice of the Central Organization of the Trade Unions, that is COTU, at the national government through the Ministry of Transport, as well as the Ministry of Labour. Now, that is a statement that was released by CALPA, and also an update on the ongoing industrial action. This is yesterday. They say the Kenya Airline Pilots Association confirms that all Kenya Airways pilots are CAPA members are still withholding their labor. In the current situation, Kenya Airways has only 2 aircrafts in the air, being flown by 4 pilots in the management positions, some of whom have used their office to actively frustrate pilots and other employees. Right. Now, that is a statement by the Kenya Airlines Pilots Association, releasing on that, calling on their, insisting that they're still on strike. Now, that is as far as that particular trend is concerned and why people are talking about it. Also, Murkomen is trending, and just in relation to that, because he is the CS Transport. And also to just talk about the release of, or rather making public of the deal that Kenya signed with China in regards to SGR. Let me just take something else also here. It is the Lake Victoria, and this is because of what happened yesterday rather, where at least 19 people died following the Tanzanian passenger plane crashing into Lake Victoria. That is why people are talking about this particular subject here. We just highlighted that and said that 26 were taken to hospital and they're receiving treatment, and 19 collapsed, or rather died following that particular crash. And condolences to them and the families. All right. Okay, away from that, well, I'm laughing because my director did just remind me that it was families. I seem to have forgotten that. Sorry for that. Now, Sakaja, that is Johnson Sakaja, he's trending. Why is Sakaja trending? Let's take a look at why people are talking about him. Well, people are talking about Sakaja because of what he's been doing in the city of Nairobi and just making sure that we go clean in making sure that, you know, every part of the city is clean. Let me just take something that Guadalupe says here on Twitter. Say, Nairobi Governor Sakaja has warned anyone found dumping dirt illegally will be punished. In a statement, Sakaja said the county government will amend the law to provide for the punishment. Now, he urged the county residents to be on the lookout and report anyone littering. You see? Yeah. And also, that statement does not end there, because he also got to say something that if people are found doing these particular mistakes, dumping litter here and there, they're taken to court, and we have the fine. Now, if you report that particular person, we go to court and have the fine, then we have that particular fine divided amongst us. It's very good, right? So don't be dumping dirt everywhere, because you might just land yourself in trouble. Listen, that is as far as trending topics are concerned. We've touched on quite a number in terms of, you know, what is trending on the social networks. And you can actually head to Twitter and look at what is trending. That is what's trending on this particular side of the Sahara. Listen, we are due for a short break, but when we come back, we'll be looking at what is happening on matters current affairs, and that is news.
Hi there, my name is George Washuri. I am so happy to see you, and today I am here to enumerate, to explain how we package our land investment. We have 5 levels of our property, and we classify these levels as 1 star, 2 stars, 3 star, 4 star, and 5 star. This is what we mean, that if you buy a property that is 1 star with Optiven, one of the things that is evident, the property is cheaper, is below $500,000. And this particular property is basically bare land. We only do subdivision, put the beacons, and then produce titles. The second level, we call it 2-star. This is prime land, whereby we grade the roads, we put a marking fence, do the beacons, and produce titles. The third level, we call it 3 stars. This 3-star is value added plots. We do the malam, we do the water, we do the mesh fence, and there's a caretaker on site. The fourth level is 4-star. 4-star is ready to build development. We do very nice maram roads, we plant the trees, we put the water tower, we also put a caretaker on site, and finally, the 5-star. The 5-star is premier, is the top level. And this one, we do cable roads, we do water management through underground culverts, we do underground power, we do fountain for water, we do beautiful and nice permanent gates, we do perimeter wall, and also do install the CCTV, and the whole property is manned by uniformed security. Some of these properties, these 5-star properties, we do a clubhouse and also construct swimming pool. Thank you once more for trusting Optiven. We value you. We are at Absa Plaza, 14th floor and 15th floor. God bless you.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about kufurahisha the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
All right, now thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. We are just about to get into what is happening on Matters Current Affairs. Now remember, you can be part of the program this morning by engaging us on our socials. That is at Amwai Brian on Twitter, at Lookuptv. The hashtag to use is The Morning Drift. We are live on Facebook, I believe, and we are also live on YouTube, and we'll be able to sample some of your feedback as we continue with the program this morning. Now, let's get into the newsroom. Now, Kenya Airways now says that a disciplinary action plan against striking pilots has begun now, even as the national carrier crew strike enters day 2. While addressing the matter at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, KQ Chief Executive Officer Alan Kilavuka stated that KQ is open to calling on the pilots to get back to work or face disciplinary action. This is a story rather that has been prepared by Shada Karedia.
The situation at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Passengers stranded for the second day since the KQ pilot downed their tools, leading to cancellation of 55 flights in a period of only 2 days, affecting a total of 12,000 passengers. The situation is expected to remain the same since the effort to stop the strike bared no fruit as the KQ and the Kenya Airline Pilot Association (KALPA) failed to come to terms. The KQ on Sunday gathered all its non-pilot staff to assist in the refunding and the renewal of tickets to those affected.
We've been doing our work down there for 2 weeks, and then we found out that there was a strike. I'm like, oh no. So here we are. But Kisumu is so small that it's easier for us to get something here, so we came up here this morning.
The KQ CEO Alan Kivula has called on the pilot to get back to work or face a disciplinary actions, stating that the KQ is ready for talks with KALPA on condition that the meeting is a solution-based.
Because of their hard stance, because they have given us their original proposals without any meaningful concessions, we therefore have a stalemate. And it leaves us no alternative but to continue with the disciplinary process that we have already initiated. However, having said that, we are still open to talks, meaningful talks. But the most important thing is that these talks need to be held under the condition that they return to work. Because as we have said before, this is an illegal strike. It is an unlawful strike because the courts have declared it unlawful.
So far, KQ has suffered a loss of 300 million shillings as a result of the ongoing strike. In a rejoinder, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, through a letter, has accused the culprit of impunity while accusing them of ignoring court orders. At least 5 KQ flights on Sunday departed to different parts of the country, as other KQ flights are expected to depart tomorrow. It is therefore unknown of the pilot who will fly the planes. The situation here at JKI International Airport is returning slowly by slowly, though the majority of the pilots are still holding on the strike. Reporting for Lookuptv from JKI International Airport in Nairobi County, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
All right, now thank you so much, Shada Karira, for that particular report. Moving on, the death toll after a precision plane plunged into Lake Victoria in Tanzania on Sunday has jumped to 19. Now, Tanzania Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has confirmed. Now, the plane carrying dozens of passengers plunged into the lake as it approached the northwestern city of. Rescuers have pulled 26 survivors to safety after the precision airplane crashed due to bad weather, with 39 passengers aboard flight PW494 from the financial capital Dar es Salaam to the lakeside city. Now, Deputy President Rigathi has, or rather yesterday, indicated that plans are underway to form a task force that will look into the welfare of members of the disciplined forces in a bid to ensure that they are well motivated while executing their mandate. This story was produced by Ian Keitani.
Speaking at a Thanksgiving service for the disciplined forces at the Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has commended the police for their continued service to the country, despite the obstacles in place, insisting that the country should not prioritize foreign investigative agencies, while local agencies remain overshadowed.
We are proud of our officers across the country. You are doing a great job. You are patriotic. You are professional. And that is why we are getting insulted when a leader was saying that we need to invite the Scotland Yard here to come and do investigations. We have professional officers who have the capacity, the capability to work here in this country.
While urging the law enforcers to abide by the rule of law, Gachagua assured the men and women in uniform that the government will form a task force to review their welfare in a bid to ensure proper and timely service provision.
We did say that within 100 days, we will roll out a task force to review the terms and conditions of your service with a view of looking at your salaries and allowances, with a views of looking at housing and other aspects that will dignify your work and your families. In the next 2 weeks, President William Ruto will unveil a task force to review your terms of service and condition.
On his part, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, while lauding the members of the disciplined forces, insisted that under his tenure, the welfare of officers will be a priority in a bid to ensure that all officers under different categories are well catered for.
I want to thank each one of you for the sacrifices that you continue to make in helping us secure our nation. I want to assure you of the government's commitments to support you in your work. And as the minister responsible for the policy direction in the security sector, I want to assure you and your families that we will continue to improve the policy space upon which you work so that you feel appreciated and recognized because of the very important service you continue to provide to our nation.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
All right, we want to take a short break here on the program. When we come back, we'll be looking into more stories from the newsroom and also get into that discussion that we promised you earlier, whereby we're talking about the opposition and whether we do have an opposition. Is it taking shape right now? And we have a government that asks for an opposition, but right now they seem not to want that anymore. That's a conversation that we'll be having later on. Don't go too far. We'll be back in a moment.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Born a man, the society bestows tough responsibilities upon you.
Lazima uwe mtu wa bidii, ukija kuoa lazima uwe ni provider.
If you're not able to provide, that's a challenge. It takes a toll on a man.
It takes someone who is strong enough to face it.
This is Born a Man.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
Now, thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. Let's continue bringing you up to date with matters news. Now, the Kenya Red Cross Society, in partnership with the county governments in Kilifi, have come together has launched a livestock ground offtake program to help families that are highly affected by the ongoing drought. Now, the program is part of the interventions by President William Ruto's administration following the drought that has so far affected over 4.3 million people in dire need of humanitarian assistance.
If you happen to be a Bamba resident in Ganze sub-county in Kilifi, you ought to be the lucky one going home with a piece of meat. Slaughtering process is ongoing here. Some of the cows and goats just waiting for their turn, but local residents from the young and the old, men and women turning out in large numbers to the event. The livestock offtake program that was officially launched by Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro, who states that the facilitation of the dam excavation will be done in a week's time to enable residents get water.
Wiki ijayo nitawaletea budget ya dharura. Katika hiyo budget kutakuwa na mashini za kuchimba mabawa hapa Ganze. Kwa hivyo mpitishe, muache kulalamika saa yote.
Mimi ninauliza serikali kama kuna sehemu yenye ina shida ni sehemu ya Ganze. tunaomba kama damu mbili zije zijengwe huku.
Majan Ramadan, the Kenya Red Cross NEC Program Standing Committee member, applauded the move by the government to launch the program in many areas as the society has managed to get relief food from the national government, including 5,000 bags of rice, 800 bags of beans, 600 cartons of corned beef for all those affected by drought.
Kutakuwa na wanyama ng'ombe 500 ambao watachinjwa na watagawanywa watu wa sehemu hii. Serikali pia imesema kuwa itatoa ruzuku zaidi ya kuwafaidi watu kwa sababu ya njaa.
However, the Kenya Red Cross has provided relief food to over 3,000 families to help them from the pandemic, with Kilifi County holding more than 150,000 that are affected and now calls on donors to intervene.
Kwa hivi tunawaomba wafadhili wetu ambao wanapitia Red Cross tushirikiane ili kupunguza janga hili la njaa ambayo inakumba wananchi wetu wote.
Despite the economic boost to residents in selling their cattle in exchange for money, locals feel the persistent drought challenge is inevitable.
Saa hii nimepata huu msaada, kwamba kuna msaada kama huu, nikaona afadhali nilete kama 2-3 ili niwe naweza kusaidika na pesa kama hizi. Hiyo basi ninashukuru na msaada huu, lakini itakuwa hivyo kila siku.
Hata hivi sasa kuleta kwa sababu ya njaa peke yake. Katika hizi mfugo zetu ziko hapa. Utaona mbuzi kawaida, mbuzi wakati wa ukame ndio zinanona. Sasa ukiangalia mbuzi kwa wakati huu imekuwa kama gorowa nayo pia.
The residents from the 23 drought-stricken counties are now feeling a sigh of relief as the national government juts in a helping hand. Earlier, the president was in Turkana County where he urged other donors and other stakeholders to intervene in the matter. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua launched the same program at Bisil Market and Amboseli in Kajiado County as Rachel Ruto and Dorcas Rigathi, the first ladies following the steps of food donation in informal settlements of Nairobi. Other leaders participated in the program in counties of Machakos, Nyeri, Marsabit, Garissa, Wajir, Voi, Embu and Kitui. Moses Sokech, Lookuptv.
Now, the Kenya Kwanza government has of late bashed the opposition, criticizing them rather, now with the opposition through the minority leader, Opiyo Wandayi, promising not to relent. Now, the question is, when they took power, they wanted to be kept in check. But now that they are in power, that checking is what they do not want anymore as the country's opposition gains momentum. Let's take a look at this particular story.
I call upon the President-elect to come forward together with the First Lady waiting.
When the Kenya Kwanza government administration took power, they wanted a vibrant and active opposition, raising questions on who exactly will take up the role after the longest opposition leader seemed like he was hanging his boots. The government made it hard for the opposition to be active and vibrant after the president and his team went on a shopping spree for numbers in the National Assembly. They grabbed whoever was interested in joining the government, a move that intended to weaken the opposition.
I think it will not have worked out well if the presidency allowed the opposition to control parliament. Mm-hmm. Because remember that everything that the current government does has its beginning in parliament in terms of policy decisions. Okay. So any policy decisions that they pass have to be approved by parliament, which is the oversight body. Okay. And that only made sense that then the government was going to ensure that it has the numbers in parliament to enable it to work.
Since the August elections, Raila Amolo Odinga went silent, with people who were supporting him calling on him to remain silent. Still, Odinga, being a master of opposition politics, came from holiday eager and hungry to keep the government of the day in check.
Hello? Hello? Mimi tangu tarehe 15 mwezi wa Agosti nilienda chini.
Assisted by the co-principals Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua, Odinga seemed to be keeping the Kenya Kwanza on its toes on different issues, putting emphasis on the promises they have not delivered on.
Walisema gharama ya unga itatoka 200 tarudi 70. Imerudi chini. Imerudi chini. Walisema ati bei ya mafuta itashuka. Imeshuka. Walisema kodi ya nyumba itashuka, imeshuka. Nauli ya matatu imeshuka.
This, however, has not settled down well with the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and the President William Ruto.
Advice busaya kitendawili. If we need advice, we know where to get advice, but not from you. Wewe kwenda upumzike na ukae kwako nyumbani.
The Kenya Kwanza government asked for an opposition that to some extent they don't want to have them kept in check.
So I think the better approach for the Deputy President will be, rather than try to tell the opposition to keep quiet, I would rather that they focus on resolving the issues, and then the opposition will have no reason to engage in those kinds of rhetoric.
Okay. The Constitution, however, does not have an opposition office. This then leaves the mandate of keeping the government in check to the Parliament. However, this is hard with the government, which has a majority in the August House. A strong opposition keeps any government on its toes and ensures it delivers on the promises. But is the opposition in Kenya too hard on the government?
I think it will. I would prefer an opposition that goes head on with government rather than a government that is not checked by the opposition. Because the reason for that, at the end of the day, it's only you and me, the normal Kenyans, who suffer most when the government and the opposition are perhaps sleeping in one bed. For lack of a better word, but I think it is good that the current government gets that kind of check, those kinds of checks from the opposition. It only makes it better for.
He has been an opposition leader for better time of his political career. Playing opposition politics for Odinga is not something new. After the 2018 handshake, pundits argue that he forgot his roots and people. Raila Odinga and his camp seem to be taking shape and reviving the once vibrant opposition politics in the country. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi. Now that is the story that will be forming the basis for our conversation this morning. One of my guests rather is already in studio, Mary Rivisa. She's already here to help us try and understand which way opposition in this particular country are we seeing the comeback of an opposition, because to some extent it has been accused of having gone to bed with the government. The Kenya Kwanza government coming to power said we want a vibrant opposition. The opposition seems to be coming out to bite, but now again we want it to go back. We want the opposition to go back and relax and let us work. That is a conversation we'll be having. Engage us on our socials at Amwai brand on Twitter at Lookuptv. The hashtag to use this morning is The Morning Drift. We are also live on Facebook. You can send your feedback there and we'll be able to sample some of it as we continue with the program. Let me just take something from Lee Obunga. Says, why mention one person every time you attend any occasion? Mzee all the time. Look how people should get employment, get food on their table. We are tired of one topic every now and then. Now, on that particular topic that we just went, let me take a comment here. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Thank you so much for your feedback. Let's engage in a few when we come back with the conversation here on set, as we take a look at which way opposition here in the country. Don't go too far. We'll be back in a moment.
Today we are at St. John's Hospital here in Githurai. We are here in conjunction with Total Care Box.
Once again tuko hapa Angel Center for Abandoned Kids.
Tumekuja hapa Gatora tukiwa na mwariko wa kuitwa na hawa watu wa Roto.
Tuko hapa Kaptara, tunataka kusema asante sana Lotto Foundation kwa mambo mazuri ambayo wameweza kutufanyia leo.
To the Lotto Foundation, thank you so much for remembering us. Guys,